Welcome back to Project Broken Bonds. It's been a little longer than we hoped. Again, I actually had to get a surgery on my knee right before the last devlog, so that kind of messed things up for us. Or at least that's my excuse. But we still made some progress on the game, as well as some world building for the story that we want to share. Jayton is a little busy right now, so it's just me this time. But let's get into it. So do you guys remember those enemies we talked about 7 months ago? Dang. Well, they're finally in the game. Kind of. We decided it was time to actually give you some enemies to fight instead of just different colored squares. We did scrap the green specialist version for now because we couldn't quite figure out how to make it work yet, but we'll probably get back to it. So because of the way we're designing the enemies, every enemy is essentially going to have the same amount of animations. An idle animation, a walking animation, a hurt animation for when they're hit, a falling animation for when they're hit in the air, a get up animation for when they get up after falling, and an attack animation. In the future, most enemies should have 2 attacks, but we're starting with the easy enemies, so they only have 1. Now these are just the keyframes and not the full animations, but the idea is that we can test how they feel to fight against. And now that they're in, you're more easily able to react to what the enemy does and understand what state they're in. Also, for any of you who are trying to animate your games in a similar way, I recommend looking at other video games first to reference how their animations are done. Since our game is an action game, I've been looking at a lot of fighting games for the characters and enemy animations. Skullgirls and DNF Duel have been my main references because they have cool and flashy animations that are easily readable. There's also a great tutorial on animation by one of the Skullgirls animators that I highly recommend watching if you're interested. With Project Broken Bonds, we wanted to not only create a fun game, but an engaging story for players to experience as well. That includes things like memorable characters, an interesting storyline, and what we're going to talk about now, a unique setting. Now, we don't have exact locations finished yet, but we do have something a lot cooler, a magic system. If you watched Devlog 0, then you might remember we said that the playable characters would all have special items that allow them to essentially use magic. At the time, that was just an excuse to make characters with superpowers, but we've expanded the idea into a full magic system that has an effect on the entire setting. We finished the idea not too long ago, so there may be some changes in the future, but we thought it'd be fun to give you an idea of what we come up with. For the most part, this world is not very different from ours, but what makes this world different is something we're calling essence. Essence is essentially magic in a physical form. Nobody knows where it comes from or how it's made, and it's extremely rare to find, but it can appear pretty much anywhere in the world. Each essence is different in terms of what kind of magic it possesses. One could be fire magic, another could be time magic, another could be light magic. The possibilities are limitless. Now, on its own, essence doesn't do anything, but essence can be fused with any non-living thing to give whatever that thing is magical properties. So we could put the essence with fire magic into a weapon, and now we have a flaming weapon, or what we call an enhancement. But enhancements aren't limited to only weapons. You could use the same essence and put it into a candle, and now you have a candle that burns forever. So it's basically a magic battery. Well, yeah, I guess. But unlike a regular battery, only the person who puts an essence in can take the essence out. So while you could technically take someone's enhancement and use it, you couldn't take the essence out and put it into something else. Oh, so it's a magic battery, but like with a lock on it or something. Pretty much. So this is close to what the original idea was, and the plan was only to give these enhancements to important characters. But we thought it didn't really make sense for important characters to conveniently be the only ones with magic. So we decided to make essence and enhancements a bigger part of the world. So now enhancements are a thing that pretty much everyone in the world knows about. And while essence is still rare to find, it's not uncommon to see someone with an enhancement. Our plan is for every location in the game to use enhancements in a different way and to different degrees. Some places may have enhancements built into the place itself, while others may just use them as a convenient solution. Essence and enhancements will also play a big role in the story of the game as well. And although we're not ready to show that yet, we're constantly thinking of ways to push this magic system to its limit. So stay tuned for that. Now there are a bunch of things we've done that aren't big enough to talk about or aren't quite done yet. like our main character being almost done and in the game, several supporting characters who aren't fully designed yet, the first act of the story also not being done. Dang, there's a lot we need to get done. But you can die in the game now. That's fun, sort of. Admittedly, we've done a lot of talking about changes and additions to the game, and a lot less actually putting those things in the game. But we're hoping to change that going forward. I'm not going to promise these videos will come out more often, but we will try our best to get them out as soon as we can. If you have any feedback or ideas, please let us know in the comments. Specifically, what do you think about Essence as a magic system? The idea is for us to put some rules on what we're allowed to put in the game while still being flexible and easy to understand. Thanks for staying until the end, and take care.